Recently, Google has set out to do something that they really haven't done before, and that's compete with the likes of Samsung and Apple in the consumer space. Now, we've had Nexus devices for years, and they've been really great cutting-edge phones. However, you could rarely just go into a carrier store and purchase a Nexus device. The latest devices from Google, and that's key, these are from Google, sets out to change that. We're here today to talk to you about the Google Pixel, and in this case, the Pixel XL. Both are the latest offerings from Google directly, with some help from HTC, but they have set out to do what Apple has done for years, and that is control both the software with Android and the hardware with the Pixel and the Pixel XL. So starting off here, we have the Google Pixel XL. This is the larger of the two Pixels. They are virtually identical, but there are some minor differences between the two. First and foremost, the screen size. Obviously, the Pixel XL is larger than the Pixel itself. Also, those displays have a slightly different resolution between the two of them. The Pixel is 1080p, beautiful display. Great display, especially for a phone of that size. On the Pixel XL, you do get a full Quad HD display, which really gives you just that much more. On a smartphone, I'm still unsold whether or not Quad HD or 4K is necessary, especially if I'm looking at a phone like this. I don't know how sharply I need to see my icons on my display. Beyond that, the Pixel XL does have a higher battery capacity versus the Pixel, which should give you a little bit more battery life as your day goes on. Finally, and this is related to battery too, you can actually charge the Pixel XL at a slightly higher rate. It has an 18-watt charge input on here versus a 15-watt charge input on the Pixel itself. Just means they're going to charge a little bit slower on the Pixel versus the Pixel XL, but they both charge super fast, and that's thanks to the inclusion of the USB-C port on the bottom on here. You'll get super fast charging, but if you haven't upgraded to USB-C as of yet, you're going to need to upgrade your cables. Minor inconvenience, but if you're like me and you have cables all over the place, it is something different. So some of the reasons why I went with the Pixel XL versus the standard Pixel is because of the battery life. Also, I've been a phablet user since the Samsung Galaxy Note 2. I wanted something that had that larger real estate space on it. Beyond that, both phones felt super snappy, super quick when I tried to use them in the stores to try them out. That is something too, talking about the phones as we get into the performance of them. First and foremost, this does ship with Android 7.1 right out of the box, and that is the latest and greatest version of Android. With Android 7.1, you also get Google's new innovative Google Assistant on board. Think of it as an evolution of Google Now, which I absolutely loved. Google Now worked terrifically, and Google Assistant is taking that to the next step by making it, if anything, a little bit more in your face than what Google Now was. Additionally, you do have on the software, you have a very minimalist approach, very similar to the Android open source type software that you would normally find. You're not going to get bloatware except for the much discussed Verizon version of the Pixel and Pixel XL. There are 3 apps that come preloaded on that version of the Pixel XL versus the version that you're going to get from the Google Play Store. The nice thing is you don't have to worry about them always being there, churning up space, churning up data. You can delete them, not disable them, delete them, remove them completely from the phone. My final comment on the software on the Google Pixel and Pixel XL is longtime Google Android developer Matias Duarte came from a WebOS background, and anyone familiar with WebOS, and this isn't the last time you're going to hear me use that term, with WebOS it was a very gesture-based operating system, and we saw that brought into Android as of Honeycomb, quite honestly. Now what they've done here is if I swipe up from the bottom tray, there's my app drawer with all of my apps in it. But if I want to go and folder my stuff, I can't with the stock launcher. I've used Nova Launcher for years on all of my Android devices, and I not only folder my apps on my home screens, but also in the app drawer itself. So I've got a photos folder, I've got one for video, and one for sports, and all sorts of things along those lines. And I can't do that, or at least I haven't found a way to do that yet with the stock launcher. That is a tweak that I would like to see come in a future update from Google. And that's the nice thing about the Pixel and the Pixel XL, is you will get updates right from Google. You don't have to worry, like with my Samsung Galaxy Note 5 that I have here that I'm still on Marshmallow on. Nougat's been out for a bit, no sign of it on my device. Whereas once, very similar to the Nexus devices, once once Google has an Android build finished and out to the public, you will get those updates almost immediately on your Google Pixel and Pixel XL. Talking about the software, let's shift over to the hardware. This is very reminiscent of the HTC 10 type phone. You can definitely see the HTC influence on this device. I have it here in the really blue, and one of the reasons, as you can kind of see in the background, my bobblehead collection there, fan of the Milwaukee Brewers, I wanted Brewer Blue on my phone. Yes, it does go that deep on my fandom. Glass and aluminum design on here, beautiful front glass display on here. You've got the dual aluminum and glass display on the back, along with a really nice fingerprint sensor. It's super easy to use, and what I like is there's no physical buttons on the front of this device. With the fingerprint sensor, with my hand in a very natural place, I can easily unlock the phone just by tapping the fingerprint sensor. Pretty cool. Other hardware features include just your buttons on the side. Really, you've got your power and you've got your volume up and down. Other than that, there are no physical buttons on this phone. It's a little weird coming from a Samsung device and being a Samsung user for so long not to have that home button on here, which quite honestly, with a phone with this big of a chin on it, one Jay Leno would honestly be a little jealous of. It's weird not to have anything down there. This extra real estate that I'm sure they had to keep on the phone just to provide for the larger battery, but beyond that, it doesn't do anything for you. So from a design and aesthetic standpoint, it's a little odd. Now, I've mentioned the Samsung Note series in the past. I do have my Galaxy Note 5 here that I did transition to the Pixel from, and as you can see here, they are almost identical in footprint, almost identical in thickness. It's a nice feel going from one to the other. On the Note, I did have my fingerprint sensor on the home button, but I still had to click to be able to do anything with it. Overall feelings on the Pixel XL. A lot of people have called it the best Android phone out there. I can't disagree with that statement. Having used this phone for some time now, the one thing I keep coming back to is just how responsive everything is, how fast everything comes up and goes away and just works. I've had a few app crashes, but those are third-party apps not built into the device, and quite honestly, I've had those apps crash on other devices too. Coming from a Samsung device, one thing I have noticed and I miss a little bit is Samsung Pay. Samsung has nailed it with Samsung Pay. It just works everywhere. I don't know how many stores I went into to use my phone for payment and people telling me, oh, that doesn't work here. And Samsung Pay just works. Now, you can use Android Pay with the Google Pixel and the Pixel XL, but it works pretty much where you would find Apple Pay using. So you're going to have some of the limitations there. In addition, a couple of the other things that I've missed from my Samsung phone, the stock Android dialer and contact system, it's uninspired, it's boring, and it's time for Google to address that and update that. They're very utilitarian, they work, but like on my Note 5, one of the nice things I can do is if I'm in a contact, I can either slide one way to call or slide the other way to send them a text message. Those are the nice little things that Samsung has, and I can't believe I'm saying something nice about TouchWiz, but something that Samsung has built into TouchWiz that, as a longtime Samsung user, again, dating back actually to the Samsung Galaxy S2, I've just gotten used to. It just works, and I'd like to see Google add something like that into stock Android. They've already gone ahead now with Nougat 7.1. You have the multi-screen, which I never really used on my Samsung phones. So for me, it's a minor tweak, but I know for some people, that'll be a big thing. My daughter, for example, likes the fact that on her phone, she can watch Netflix on one side of her screen, and then on the other side, she can be working in Google Docs and work on her homework while listening to Netflix in the background is a perfect example. One final criticism that I have on the Google Pixel and the Pixel XL is the lack of induction charging. I've been a long time induction charger user, dating back to the Palm Pre. Yes, the Palm Pre, WebOS. I'm a WebOS fanboy still at heart. But the nice thing about the Palm Pre was the fact it had an induction charger that you could utilize. Just set your phone on the touchstone and it charged for you. Samsung has adopted that in nearly every smartphone in the Galaxy family. But the Google Pixel and the Pixel XL don't have that capability. I don't know if it's because they went with aluminum on the back versus, you know, the glass on the Samsung phones or what, but not being able to use an induction charger, I don't like having to plug my phone in. It's nice just to boop and I'm done. And I now have all these pucks laying around my house and at my desk at work and everything, and now they're pretty useless. Another thing that I haven't seen anyone else talk about on the Google Pixel or the Pixel XL is the sound fidelity, not out of the bottom firing speaker, but out of the earpiece when you're making phone calls. I have never had call quality as high as with the Google Pixel XL. I do have a little bit of hearing loss, nothing that's been diagnosed, but sometimes I can have problems hearing and understanding people when I'm talking on my cell phone. The Google Pixel and the Pixel XL, the fidelity is just outstanding. I've never used a phone that sounds this good when I'm on a phone call. And it has transitioned over not just to the earpiece, but even through my Bluetooth speaker in my car. It just works great. Now, the sound fidelity on the phone itself out of the bottom firing speaker, it is just a single bottom firing speaker. It's anemic at best. Volume-wise is not very good. Sound quality is okay. But knowing that HTC had a hand in building this phone and knowing the quality that HTC has had in their speakers in the past, I was a little disappointed that Google didn't tap them to add some of the HTC-ness, as it were, to the Pixel and the Pixel XL. As it is, for the most part, I have a great Bluetooth speaker that I use when I do want to listen to, you know, my podcast, to music, anything along those lines. So for me, it's not a huge deal, but it is a little bit of a bummer for a phone that costs this much. And that is the other minor downside, I would say, with the Google Pixel and the Pixel XL. These bad boys ain't cheap, but the performance delivers. One of the big selling points on the Pixel and the Pixel XL during the keynote speech where it was debuted is the camera. And I've done a little bit of shooting, and here are some examples of what I've shot with the Pixel XL just out of the box. I'm not doing anything fancy with any of the settings, and it just works. As you can see, these are just some pictures from my backyard, doing some trees, my dog as well, and these are great pictures. I don't have to do anything to make them look good. And that's what I really like about the Pixel XLs and the Pixel's camera setup. It's point and shoot in an Android world where you can have, like on the Note 5, the camera software, I mean, it's outstanding. There are so many different pro-level features in the software that you can tweak on and tune on and just go crazy and really, you know, fine-tune what you're shooting with. The average consumer doesn't know what any of those features are. A lot of those people, they just want a point-and-shoot camera in a pinch, and they don't know what ISO is, and they don't know how to adjust the iris settings or set white balance or anything along those lines. Some people would argue watching this video, I don't know how to set the white balance. That's always possible. But for a consumer-friendly device, sometimes more is less because it just confuses people. When you give someone too many options, often they won't make any choice because they feel overwhelmed. Google has set to take on Apple head-to-head in the mobile space now. unlike in years past with the Nexus device where it was very niche and it was the hardcore or the programming enthusiast that would pick up a Nexus device, the Google Pixel is the Google phone for everybody. We heard it from the first time the first Android phone was launched that a Google phone is coming. Well, this is the first true consumer-focused Google phone, and it's damn good. Couple minor things that I would like to see changed. I mean, everyone's talked about the waterproofing to this point, and yeah, it would be really nice to have waterproofing. My daughter and I, we go to amusement parks throughout the year, going on water rides. It'd be nice to not have to worry about my phone getting wet. She has a Droid Max 2, and that's waterproof. The Galaxy S7 is waterproof. Most phones out there now, the front leader of that brand, they're waterproof. So not having waterproofing on the Pixel for a phone this expensive, yeah, it leaves a little bit to be desired there. Like I mentioned earlier, software-wise, the dialer and the contacts app, those are really uninspired and need an update. But that's the great thing about Android is you can go ahead and download another dialer from the Google Play Store and give it a try and find something that suits your needs. We're going to have some more tips and tricks throughout the upcoming weeks as I use this phone more. I know one of the things I didn't like initially was the stock Google keyboard, and reading reviews, everybody loves it. Well, one of the things I didn't like was the fact that you didn't have special characters on the keyboard. Well, not having used the Google keyboard for years, again, using the Samsung keyboard, which is quite honestly excellent, I didn't know that there were settings in here that I could go and change those settings and get those features back. I'm going to show you how to do that all in a future video. I can't recommend the Pixel XL highly enough if you want a smaller phone. I would say the very same thing about the standard Pixel as well. They're great phones. They sound great, they work great, and they have definitely raised the bar in regards to what Android is capable of, especially when Google is controlling both the hardware and software. I hope you've enjoyed my look here at the Google Pixel XL. And if you do like this video, make sure to leave a comment, like, and subscribe to our channel. We have a lot more content coming soon, and this is really our relaunch of RoXolid Productions. Thank you for watching. We'll see you soon.